watch the delivery driver walk straight through what should be a solid brick wall, pizza bag still in hand, as the demolished house flickers back into existence around him. 3 months ago, I started investigating why dash drop drivers kept getting sent to addresses that don't exist. What I found makes me question everything I thought I knew about reality. It started with Sarah Martinez, a driver with 5-star reviews who'd been delivering food for 3 years without incident. Last Tuesday, her app directed her to 447 Elm Street for a large pepperoni pizza order. The customer had specifically requested she ring the doorbell twice and wait exactly 30 seconds. Sarah followed the instructions perfectly, except 447 Elm Street had been demolished in 2019. I'm Jake Morrison, and I investigate tech anomalies for a living. When Sarah's story hit Reddit, I thought it was just another app glitch story. But then I found Marcus and David and Eleanor, all dash drop drivers, all sent to addresses that shouldn't exist. I started mapping their reports, cross-referencing with city records and property databases. The pattern emerged within hours. Every impossible delivery corresponded to a building that had been demolished within the last 5 years. But the orders weren't random mistakes. Each came with specific instructions, detailed notes about gate codes for non-existent gates, parking spots in empty lots. Someone was placing these orders. Someone who knew these houses intimately, down to which step creaked and where the spare key was hidden under demolished porches. Marcus Chen was the first driver to actually make contact. His delivery was to 1247 Oak Avenue, a Victorian house torn down in 2020 to make room for condos that were never built. The order came with a note. Please knock loudly. I'm in the back room. Marcus stood in the empty lot, feeling ridiculous, but he needed the 5-star rating. He knocked on the air where the front door should have been. That's when he heard the voice, clear as day, coming from inside a house that wasn't there. Coming, just give me a minute. Footsteps echoed across non-existent hardwood floors. Marcus waited, pizza growing cold in his hands as the footsteps approached. The sound of a door unlocking clicked through the autumn air. But there was no door, no house, just Marcus, standing alone in an empty lot, talking to nothing. I called Dash Drop's customer service, expecting automated responses and corporate deflection. Instead, I got transferred 7 times before reaching someone who would only identify herself as Michelle from Technical Issues. Her voice carried a strain I recognized, the exhaustion of someone who'd been dealing with the same impossible problem for months. These addresses auto-populate in our system, she explained. We've tried removing them, but they regenerate overnight. The customer profiles show valid payment methods, complete order histories dating back years. Everything looks normal until drivers arrive. She paused, and I heard papers shuffling. Between you and me, we've escalated this to our development team 12 times. They keep saying it's impossible, but the orders keep coming through. 2 or 3 every night, scattered across different cities. Always demolished houses, always detailed instructions. Elena Rodriguez delivered to a house that had burned down 3 years ago. The customer order specified, leave food by the rose bushes next to the front steps. Elena found the exact spot. Charred foundation stones where steps once stood. Wild roses growing through cracked concrete. She left the Thai food as instructed and turned to go. That's when she heard the door open behind her. She spun around to see nothing but empty space and blackened ruins. But she heard silverware clinking, a satisfied sigh, the rustle of takeout containers being opened. Elena stood frozen as an invisible presence ate dinner in a house that no longer existed. the smell of pad thai mixed with the lingering scent of smoke that never quite left the lot. When she finally drove away, she glimpsed her customer in the rear-view mirror, a shadow sitting at a table that wasn't there. I decided to investigate 447 Elm Street myself. City records showed the house belonged to Margaret Henley, a retired teacher who'd lived there 43 years before the city claimed eminent domain for a highway expansion that never happened. Margaret died in hospice 2 weeks before the demolition. I found her obituary. Margaret spent her final days talking about going home, insisting she needed to be there for her dinner deliveries. I thought it was just end-of-life confusion until I checked Dashdrop's order history. Margaret's account showed steady activity. 2 orders per week, always the same. Pepperoni pizza on Tuesdays, Thai food on Fridays. The orders started 3 days after her death and continued through the demolition. Even now, months later, Margaret Henley's ghost was still ordering dinner, and she wasn't alone. Every impossible address had the same pattern. Deceased homeowners whose accounts remained active, ordering their favorite meals to houses that existed only in their memories. I needed to see it for myself. I created a Dashdrop driver account and waited for an impossible order. It came at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Chinese food delivery to 892 Pine Street, demolished 8 months ago for more construction that stalled after the foundation was poured. The customer notes were impossibly specific. Park behind the blue Honda. Use the side entrance by the kitchen. I'll leave the porch light on. I drove to an empty lot surrounded by construction barriers. No blue Honda, no side entrance, no porch light, just broken concrete and weeds growing through chain link fence. I stood there holding beef and broccoli, feeling like an idiot. Then the smell hit me. Home cooking, warm and inviting, drifting from nowhere. I followed the scent to where the kitchen would have been. Something brushed my shoulder. A whispered thank you caressed my ear. The takeout containers grew warm in my hands, as if someone was accepting them. I started visiting more impossible addresses, mapping the phenomenon. Each demolished house held its own tragedy. The Williams family at 635 Cedar Drive, killed in a car accident 2 months before their home was condemned for foundation issues. Their Dashdrop account ordered kids' meals every Sunday, chicken nuggets and apple slices that disappeared into thin air. The Kozlov house on Birch Lane, where an elderly couple died of COVID during lockdown, their home demolished while their belongings sat in storage. They still ordered borscht and rye bread every Wednesday, maintaining routines that death couldn't break. These weren't random glitches. These were people so attached to their homes, so dependent on familiar rituals, that they continued existing in spaces that no longer existed. Technology had become their anchor to a world that had moved on without them. Dashdrop's algorithm couldn't distinguish between the living and the dead. It just processed orders and sent drivers to feed ghosts. The breakthrough came when I analyzed the payment methods. Every ghost customer used the same credit card they'd used in life, cards that should have been cancelled years ago. But the transactions processed perfectly, drawing from accounts that existed in some digital limbo between life and death. I called the credit card companies. Each time, I got transferred to fraud departments, who insisted the accounts showed normal activity. Mrs. Henley's account has been active for 43 years, one representative told me. She's never missed a payment. Why would we close it? When I explained that Mrs. Henley had been dead for 3 years, the line went quiet. Then, our system shows she made a purchase 20 minutes ago, 2-topping pizza from Dashdrop. These people weren't just ordering food. They were somehow maintaining their entire digital existence, paying bills and maintaining credit scores from beyond the grave. Their deaths had been bureaucratic oversights in a system too complex to notice when customers stopped breathing. I decided to test the boundaries. I created my own order to 447 Elm Street, Margaret's address, requesting contact with the customer. I used her usual order, pepperoni pizza, and added a note. Customer requested to speak with delivery driver about payment issues. At 8 p.m. sharp, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Margaret Henley's name and a number that had been disconnected for 3 years. I answered with trembling hands. "Hello?" Margaret's voice came through clearly, warm and slightly confused. "Is there a problem with my order? I've been ordering from you folks for years. Always pay on time." I managed to ask where she was calling from. "Why, I'm at home, dear. 447 Elm Street. I'm waiting by the front door." Just like always. "Are you having trouble finding the house?" "It's the blue Victorian with the white shutters." I left the porch light on. In the background, I could hear a television playing, a dog barking, sounds of life in a house that no longer existed. I drove to 447 Elm Street while Margaret waited on the phone. She chatted about her day, complaining about her arthritis and praising the weather. Normal conversation with a dead woman living in a demolished house. When I arrived at the empty lot, I could see nothing but weeds and broken concrete. But Margaret's voice continued. "I can see your headlights in the driveway. I'm opening the front door now." Through the phone, I heard the distinctive creak of old hinges, footsteps on a wooden porch. "I'm waving at you, dear. Can you see me?" I looked at the empty space where her house once stood. Nothing. But then, just for a moment, I caught a flicker. The outline of a front door, the suggestion of blue siding, the warm glow of a porch light. Margaret was there, existing in the space between memory and reality, sustained by her own refusal to let go. She had been dead for 3 years, but she was still home, still hungry, still waiting for her dinner delivery. That brings me back to where I started, watching a delivery driver walk through walls that shouldn't exist, delivering food to customers who shouldn't be alive. I've documented 37 impossible addresses across 12 cities. Each one follows the same pattern: sudden death, demolished home, persistent digital presence. These people died before they were ready to leave. Their houses were destroyed before they could say goodbye. So they've created their own reality where neither death nor demolition can touch them. Dash Drop system has become their lifeline, literally. Every successful delivery feeds their existence. Every 5-star rating validates their presence. They're not haunting these places. They're living in them, in a parallel version, where the world never moved on. The technology we rely on to connect us to the physical world has become their refuge from it. They found a glitch in reality itself, and they're exploiting it to stay home forever. I stopped investigating after that night with Margaret. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. Dash Drop eventually updated their system, filtering out the impossible addresses. But the orders still come through, just routed differently now. The ghosts have adapted, learned to work around the barriers we've built. They've spread to other platforms: Grubhub, Uber Eats, even grocery delivery services. Death, it turns out, is just another technical problem to solve. So the next time your delivery app glitches when it tries to send you to an address that doesn't exist, just remember, someone might be waiting there, hungry and hopeful, in a house that lives on only in pixels and memories. Someone who refuses to let go of home, even when home has let go of them. And maybe, just maybe, They deserve that one last meal. After all, we're all just one demolition notice away from becoming impossible addresses ourselves. The question isn't whether these places exist. The question is, when your time comes, where will you order your last dinner? Don't face the horrors alone. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. And if you want your nightmare seen, email it to stories@hallowcroft.com.